Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be looking at MySQL databases. So let's get started. So first off, just a kind of a reminder, we're using the Sequila movie rental chain database from the MySQL documentation. So let me kind of give a quick kind of overview about this. This is about this database is about kind of a DVD rental stores. Okay, again, that's outdated. Again, we all use Netflix or whatever else now, but it's still a good idea to kind of see what it has. Now, let's kind of go on and maybe talk about what tables are actually available to us. So, show tables here, and let's go on and run this. And we should be able to see here all of the tables. So we have actor info, address, category, city, country, customer, customer list, film, film, actor, film, category, film, list, film, text, inventory, language, nicer but slower film list, payment, rental, sales by film category, sales by store, staff list, and store. So again, we got a lot of tables that we get to play with. And so again, there's 23 in all, and they're all interconnected in some way, shape, or form. So let's go on and actually kind of start getting a little bit of information about these. So if we kind of want to look inside of a table, and we want to use the describe command, and so we'll be using this to kind of just look at stuff. So let's go on and look at the customer table, okay, and this will give us just a little bit of information about what's going on with each of the tables themselves. So again, anything inside of this customer table, okay, we can kind of see that some of these, this customer ID is an unsigned. We can see that it's a primary key, and again, we can see that it was auto incremented. We can see that there's a store ID, which is a tiny int. Again, we can see all of the information just kind of about each of these, and we'll work on these kind of in tandem throughout this bit of the course. So again, I want you guys to be relatively comfortable utilizing these methods in here. So let's go on and kind of move on to some more advanced techniques. So the next thing that we're really wanting to work on, again, is just kind of some of the, I don't know, we can call them just kind of a primer on how to do queries, okay? So if you've been following along in all of the series so far, we were using very similar statements when we were looking at SQLite, but now we kind of want to be able to look and execute a lot more types of information, okay? So for example, we need to also make sure that whether we have like permission to execute some statements, do we have permission to actually access a desired database? We'll also want to be looking at making sure that we have correct syntax. Okay, a lot of these are, again, something that we won't really work on a whole lot is query optimization. Again, I just want you guys to get just a bare bones overview. If you guys really like this series, then we can start going about talking about optimization and those types of things and higher performance database skills. But again, I just want to kind of touch base on all of the basics that we have, okay? So let's go on and start off with something like select. And again, this is just using the select statements, or we can grab anything that we want in here. So let's grab first name, last name from the customer database where, and you know what, let's just look at that for a second and see what we have here. There are, will that open up for me the rest of the way? There are quite a few names here that we can see, and let's I'm just gonna scroll. All right, I'm gonna pick Hawks here. We want to grab that individual, okay? So where last name is equal to Hawks. Okay, we'll go on and run that. And so again, we see here that we have one, and that apparently is Lee Hawks. He is, I think that's all we have is that information on there, because again, we just grabbed the first and last names. Now, again, this query is going to return one row. It may also return more rows if we change the name to some other information on there. But again, that's just how that select statement is going to work. We can go in and also grab something like a select everything from the category. The category table. We can run this here, and again, you can see that it didn't take very long to run. And what do we have here? We have a category. We have the name category of the film, then the last time that it was updated. So again, we have a lot of different types of categories that we would have in this database. And then let's also go on and talk about just kind of each of these that we've talked about so far. And let me go on and undo this, and I want to talk about this particular chunk of code, okay? So we've used already, when we talk about querying clauses, we've used a couple things here. We've used the select statement, and again, that's going to determine which columns are going to be included. Okay, so if we run this again, we're only getting the first name and the last name. We use the from, and this is going to identify the table or tables that we want to retrieve data from. And we've also used the where statement, okay, and this again is going to be where we have this, it's going to filter out unwanted data or wanted data. Okay, so this time we actually happen to want only the person with the name of Hawks, so we can grab it. Now, a couple more that we haven't talked about yet, but we will go through, is the group by statement, the having, which is going to help filter out unwanted groups, and then we're also going to use the order by. And again, these are definitely a review from our SQLite episodes, but again, I think these are the main ways that you are going to query, so I don't think it hurts for you guys to have a review in these. So let's go on and also look at using the select clause, and we can play with this a little bit more. So let's do select everything from language here, so that we can see all of the languages that are available to us. And again, we can see here that we have English, Italian, Japanese, Mandarin, French, and German. There's not a lot of languages out there, at least in this particular database. And what we can talk about when we talk about this star is show me all of the columns from the language table. Okay, so if we put this into English in that instance. Now, if we wanted to, and we want to be very specific, okay, again, we're kind of falling back just a little bit. We want language ID, name, and last update from language, from the language table. Okay, select the variables, okay, or the columns, language ID, name, last updated from the language table. So again, you have to be able to properly structure out how you want to talk about these items, okay? So again, we have all of that information there. Now, another thing, again, is if we want to make them a little bit more narrow, all right, we can just grab just a single column as well. We don't have to grab everything. If we only want one, we only want the name, we can go in and just grab just the name. And again, the select clause is going to determine which of all the possible columns we can get, okay? Because again, we're just grabbing this name. It's not going to filter any of the rows. It's only going to be looking at the particular columns that we were so interested in. Okay, now there are some things that we need to kind of look at, okay? Again, it's going to grab everything. Now, there are some things that will always kind of happen, okay? We have literals that we have to deal with. We have expressions or transactions, so mathematical operations. We also have a bunch of built-in functions that we can use. So let's do something like a select language ID. Okay, and then if we do this, we put in something like common. We put in a text operator, okay, as language usage. And you'll see here what exactly happens here in a second. And then we could do something like language ID. We can multiply it by, I don't know, I don't want 45, by 5 lang 5 value. And we can do something like upper name and say, call this language name from language. And so what's actually going to happen here is a couple different things. This common, it should just be something like a constant. All of them are going to say common. Now, and that's going to be under this language usage file. Now then here we're going to be running this language ID. We're going to be multiplying it by 5, and then it will call this lang 5 value. Now there is something relatively unique happening here in terms of syntax, okay? Now, usually, like if we were doing this in some other languages, we would need to have this as alias going on here, but we don't have to have that in MySQL. We can just kind of just put a space there and then run. That's why a lot of people kind of like it, is that there's a little bit of shorthand going on. So let's go on and run this so that we can see what happened. And so let me zoom out just a bit. And so you can see here what actually happened. This language usage, because we just gave it some text here, and then this language, it became a kind of, I would sometimes like to call it just a scalar, okay? It's a single value there. And then again, we took this language ID value, and again we have this. Their language ID is just numerical. We multiplied it by 5. Okay, and that worked as well. And then this language name, we actually took the name itself, which was which is lowercase, or maybe it was title cased, I don't remember, but we put that all to upper. Okay, and that changed everything. Now, this did not change everything, mind you, okay? This only changed what you see here. It did not do anything to the database itself. This is only your results that it is showing. This is only your query. Okay, and so a couple other things, we can go on and use some different types of information to get information about like us, the user. Okay, so we can do something like select version. So this is the version of MySQL, and so maybe I want to call this MySQL version, and then we do something like user and say something like call this user ID, and then we maybe would say database here, and we'll say call this maybe active DB. And then maybe we want today's date and say now, and this would be something like current date time. Okay, and we can run this here, and then again we will see here that we have this this current version, my current version here. We have our user ID, and again the user that I'm actually using, along with the local host, the active database, and then the current date and time that we use this. And again, this is just kind of a nice way to show you that we can use these functions here. Okay, we can use them. We can create aliases with them, and again, we can just create up some just useful items and information. Okay, and so that's actually what we've been doing. So we've also been covering aliases. Okay, and that's what this is just putting a space here. Again, other versions of SQL would require you to maybe have this as statement in here, but with MySQL you do not have to have that statement in there at all. Now, another thing that is very, very useful, okay, because in some cases we are going to have duplicates. So how would we get rid of duplicates? First, let's go on and grab out the actor ID from the film actor table, and we're going to order. We want to order by the actor ID. And I'm going to put it this way so it's easier for us to kind of read whenever I open this up. And so we can see here that, oh, look, there is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. There's just a bunch of repetition in there. So how would we go about actually grabbing and finding distinct values? Okay, well, we would, and again, I was using a bit of a hint there, we're going to be using the distinct method, or the distinct selector, okay? So we can use, and think about this as kind of being a set, so set theory and that type of stuff. So we do distinct for the actor ID, and we run this. Notice here it is only going to give us one of each. Okay, and again, that is going to be extremely useful for us when we want to only grab a specific number of items and we don't want any duplicates involved. All right, so now let's maybe talk about, again, we've been using this from clause relatively well. So it also is going to define tables that are going to be used in our query. Okay, along with a means of linking tables together. So that's also what we're going to be needing it for quite a bit. Now, we can also use this to generate subqueries. Okay, and that's actually probably one of the more vital things that we can do. So let's do something like, okay, let's maybe talk about what a subquery is itself. Okay, so a subquery, again, is a query that's contained inside of another query. Again, a subquery. Now, it's going to be surrounded by parentheses. That's kind of a key thing that we need to look for. And again, it's going to have various parts of a select statement and a from clause as well. Now, it's going to be served again as making this visible subquery and make it allows us to interact with different tables from a different name. So let's kind of give that a try. So let's do select concat here. Cust dot last name, and I'm going to show you guys what I mean by whenever I'm using this cust here and all of that here in just a second. We want a comma in here with another comma, cust dot first name, and then what else do we want in here? Full name. Again, that's from the full name. We want that as the full name. Here from here, and we're going to select here, and this is where we're creating up the subquery. Okay, so from this parenthesis here, and what we're going to be doing is this cust here is we're going to alias this subquery as cust. Okay, for customer. So let's say something like select first name, last name, email from, and again, from customer, where first name here is equal to, and let's say maybe there's a Bob in there. I don't know if there's a Bob or not. And then we'll say as cust. So this here, this cust is this particular customer, okay, named Bob. And again, we're going to be concating in first name, last name, and full name. So we should get up just this full name with maybe a couple Bobs in there. And again, I don't know if there's a Bob or not. My assumption there is. All right, there's a Bob Piffer. And again, there's only one. Okay, and so notice though that now this is full name and the results that we are currently wanting. Maybe let's try another one. Actually, you know what? No, I think it'll be fine. Let's not waste too much time on it. So again, this is a nice way. We aliased this particular query as cust, and then we use this from, and then we wanted this concat here. Okay, we pulled everything together just to give us a full name. And again, you don't have to do things this way, but again, it is very customizable and it's a very, very useful for you in this type of idea. Now we can also create up something called a temporary table. Okay, and this temporary tables, again, implementations are going to be a little bit different depending on what type and what flavor of SQL that you're going to be using. But let's maybe look at these tables in the same way that they are maybe a permanent table, okay? They are not permanent, they are definitely just temporary, but any data inserted into a temporary table will disappear at some point, okay? That's the kicker, okay? Now, let's actually go about an example of creating a temporary table for now. And let's say something like create temporary table, actors, actors A. Okay, we want to grab all actors that are starting with A, and that is rabble table. And here we want it so that it's the actor ID. We want this to be a small int here of 5. We want the first name to be a variable character of 45. The last name, a variable character here of 45. And then let's go on and end that section there. Okay, and we're going to go on and run this. Okay, and it actually created up a small table. And if I hit B here and run it over here, where are you at? It's hiding here. It's right here. If I refresh them, they'll pop up. I'm not going to worry about it. And so then let's go on and actually move this over and say something like insert into actor A. Here we want to select actor ID, first name, last name from the actor table, where the last name is like here, and again we want it to start with A. We don't really care about what's at the end of it. And let's go on and run that as well. Yep, and it did not create my table. Let me double check what went wrong there. All right, so let me pull that back up. And my guess is I'm probably going to have to run it all in one, but let me just run that again. Actor A already exists. Okay, so then why did that not run? All right, give me just 1 second and let me check what happened here. And again, that was silly. You guys were probably screaming at me. It is actors A, okay, not actor A. So once I ran that actors A, we got everything to correctly pop out. And let's go on and now take a look at select all from actors A. And let's check and see who we caught. Okay, so we have a bunch of Ackroys, we have Allens, we have a Stair. So again, we have a bunch of A's in there, and now we have a temporary table that is just all A's. Okay, so again, there's going to be a couple of these, and they're going to be held in memory. So they are going to disappear once we close our session. So if you want to keep this, you need to export it, you need to save it in some other way, or you need to insert it into the database itself. One thing that you can do, again, since we are inside of VS Code, you can hit, whoop, you guys can't see that. There we go. You can hit this export key there, and you can actually export it into a variety of different types if you want to. Okay. I don't really want to save that anyways, but you can. Let's go on and look at one more section here, and that's going to be looking at and creating views, because again, it is very similar to creating up this type of table, okay, or this temporary table. So a view query is kind of like you can think about it as a way to store a data dictionary, okay? It looks and acts just like a table, but there's no data that's going to be associated with it. So think about it as a virtual table. Oh, and you guys can't see me either. So again, when we are going to use a query against a view, your query is basically going to merge with the view definition that is going to be created. So let's actually give this a try. So do something like create view, and this will be customer customer active. You know what? I want actually active customer. Active customers. So as here, and then we're going to select customer ID. We want first name, last name. Here, their active status from customer. Now, if we run this, okay, it's going to have created the view for us. And then another thing that we'll do once we've created that view, we can do something like select first name, last name from active customers, where active is equal to 0. Okay, and so then now we have a list of all of our non-active or inactive customers. But again, we have saved up this view, okay, from before, so that it makes life a lot easier. So here's the kicker, all right? The views are going to be a lifesaver for you. Okay, if you have that one coworker or that one boss that asks you questions all the time about maybe the active users or all of the about this one type of segment of data constantly, well, then you just create up that view, and then you know whenever they come in with that particular question, you're going to be able to instantly activate it and just kind of look and see what they want for them, and it'll save you a lot of time. Heck, I actually know several people that have gone about and using views and putting them on their boss's computer, so that when the boss does it, they kind of have their own specialized table for them, so that they can look up that information if their boss is relatively savvy in that instance. So again, I think this is probably a good place to stop for today. If you guys like this, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.